going to be watching Why is the Bermuda Triangle Still Killing People? I don't know. Also, my mom worked on the Bermuda Triangle. Let's check it out.
March 1918. World War I is raging both on land and at sea.
That's not
German
good.
U-boats are even sinking ships off the American coast. Basically, almost every country is at risk. Amid these tense backdrops, the American ships...
I said it before that guy said it! Nah. Check the VOD. I said my mom worked on the Bermuda Triangle, and then he said my dad worked on the Bermuda Triangle. Go check the VOD. He was adding to my joke. Go check the VOD. No, I said it first. He said it louder, even though I'm really loud and his was in text. I don't know how he said it louder than me, but he did.
Almost every country is at risk. Amid these tense backdrops, the American ship Cyclops set sail from Brazil.
Cyclops? Oh my God, the one-eye wonder?
Heading for the United States. It's carrying manganese ore, a critical material for weapons production. Cyclops is massive,
way bigger than average 165 meters. That's gotta be more than 4 inches.
65 meters long, with 306 people on board.
Wow.
The island of Barbados, Cyclops stops due to overloading and engine trouble. After that, it vanishes. Simply disappears without a trace.
No.
No wreckage, no bodies, no SOS signal. The Americans assumed the Germans sank Cyclops, but after the war, when German archives were opened, it turns out they had nothing to do with it. There's no record anywhere. And the crew?
How do you just vanish unless you're leaving the country for tax fraud? That's crazy. 300 people?
That's not a simple mistake either. Captain George Worley had commanded Cyclops since its very first voyage in 1910. The investigation drags on for months, and eventually the U.S. Navy Department declares, "The disappearance of Cyclops is one of the greatest mysteries in Navy history. All efforts to locate her have failed. No theory..."
Wait, are all boats women? Is that why they have that anime with all the sexy boat women?
Explains how or under what circumstances this vessel disappeared. For the next 20 years, Cyclops lives on only in rumors. Some say pirates captured it. Others blame a giant squid.
Was not me. Was not anybody related to me. Leave squid and octopus kind out of this.
Then the story gets even darker. During
What?
World War II, almost along the exact same route, 2 more ships of the Cyclops type disappear. Proteus
What? Oh my God, if they load me on a Cyclops type ship, I'm like, okay, not gonna see you guys anymore type ship.
and Nereus. Again, the Americans have no answers. No distress signals, no wreckage, no bodies. They assume the Germans sank them, but once more, there's nothing to confirm it. The US simply doesn't have time to investigate further. There's a war to fight. Counting and searching for lost ships will have to wait. Years pass. 1, 2, 3, until October 22nd, 1944.
1944 is way closer than you think it is. Like, I always think these kind of stories happen in like 1860.
U.S. Navy patrols spot a drifting merchant ship near Florida, the Rubicon. It's moving slowly, sending no signals. Patrol boats board the ship and find a dog.
He's driving that thing? No wonder the ship sank. They got dog captains.
Wagging its tail with no humans aboard. Personal belongings are scattered in the cabins. Another year goes by, and then comes perhaps the most mysterious disappearance of all, Flight 19. In December 1945, 5 Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Fort Lauderdale Naval Base in Florida. It's just a
Everything comes out of Florida. Rugs, depression, chips.
routine training flight. First east over the ocean, then a turn north, back to base.
I know about this. Watch. A squared to 3 plus B squared 4 3 9 4 squared 4 8 26 27 27 plus 9 Isosceles.
Small triangle, then home. The flight is led by seasoned pilot Charles Taylor. At first, everything is smooth. The pilots practice their maneuvers and prepare to return. But suddenly, Taylor reports a compass problem. We can't
no.
be sure of any direction. Everything is wrong. Strange. The ocean doesn't look right. The last transmission reaches the base at 6:04 p.m. And after that, silence. They dispatch 2 Mariner-class seaplanes to search for the bombers. One of them, carrying 13 people, also disappears.
Guys, send one guy on the bomber, maybe 2. Why are we going max capacity? We're not trying to drop tilted. Oh my God.
In a single day, the US loses 6 aircraft and 27 servicemen. Still, no bodies, no wreckage. So, what really happened? It appears the Americans flew straight into the Bermuda Triangle, a mysterious zone said to harbor sea monsters and even flying.
The Leviathan. Oh, hell no. If I saw a Leviathan, I'm gonna persona.
Saucers. Here's the twist.
And UFOs?
At the time, no one called it a triangle. Up until the late 1940s, each disappearance was seen as an isolated incident. Only later did people notice a suspicious pattern start to emerge. The first article about strange wonders near the Bermuda Islands appeared on September 17, 1950. It comes with a map attempting to link the disappearances, though no modern triangle exists yet.
How come everything with the triangle is mysterious? Like, you got the triangle pyramids. Nobody knows how they were built, even though I said water elevators and aliens. Nobody knows what's going on inside of the Bermuda Triangle and the Illuminati.
Outline is slowly forming. 2 years later, paranormal magazine Fate publishes its own story. It lists the latest disappearances near Bermuda, South Florida, and Puerto Rico, along with Flight 19 and ships carrying manganese ore. Then comes a turning point. American writer Vincent Gaddis grabs a pencil and ruler.
Does anybody in chat do their hair like this? I feel like guys need to be more whimsical again. Like, just start, like, licking it back.
And outlines the area with the most disappearances. In February 1964, he writes an article titled The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, describing the terrifying events said to occur there. Gaddis later turns the idea into a book, but it doesn't gain huge popularity.
But I got the Devil's Peak. Well, look at Vegeta. He's peak. He got wife. Embrace it.
Another 11 years pass, and in 1974, former military officer Charles Berlitz jumps in, publishing The Bermuda Triangle. This time, it explodes. 20 million copies sold.
Damn! Back when people used to read! Now I let somebody read to me on YouTube, so I don't gotta do it.
Dozens of languages and huge royalties. Why? Berlitz claims everything in the Bermuda Triangle disappears because of Atlantis.
I've told this story before, but my friend, when I was a kid, she said, me and my family are going to Atlantis for summer vacation. And I was like, what the hell? It's real. So for like years, I thought Atlantis was real, but it's just like a water park.
The legendary sunken continent. He believes it went down right in the triangle, creating special energy fields that interfere with compasses and radio signals. That's why ships and planes start disappearing one after another. Berlitz even includes disappearances that never occurred there or happened centuries earlier.
Oh my God, Big Mama. She kind of sexy.
Thanks to the book, The Bermuda Triangle goes viral. In 1978, Steven Spielberg releases Close Encounters of the Third Kind, featuring Flight 19 being abducted by aliens.
They all just standing there with their danglings out. Put some clothes on, you little freaks.
A Bermuda Triangle board game even hits the market, along with countless documentaries, news segments, and even a Scooby-Doo episode. Be sure to drop a like if you liked that show as much as I did. As hype builds, more Bermuda Triangle stories emerge. From the 1960s to the 1980s, planes and ships supposedly vanish without a trace. The world starts to wonder, could there really be a massive black hole near America?
Can normal people go and check? Like, if you want to be like a little adventurer, like, are you allowed to get on your own boat and then drive to the Bermuda Triangle and just look at it? Or do they have like a minefield? Like, nobody's just done it for a YouTube video? Only rich people? They all disappeared? What if Philly's in the Bermuda Triangle? How do we save her?
Sucking in people, metal, and even common sense?
I don't have common sense.
Honestly, if we're being serious, over the last 100 to 150 years, about 100 ships, 50 planes, and at least 1,000 people have
And 5 monitors and 6 consoles.
vanished in the Bermuda Triangle. Now, these cases are hard to explain. It's pure mystery. Now, wouldn't it be fascinating to know what the very first person to sail here felt? Well,
Yes.
let's step back in time and ask them. Because that first person was Christopher Columbus.
Oh.
Back then, he was looking for a shortcut from Europe to India. But Columbus had no clue that 2 entire continents would block his way. In fact, there was a lot he didn't know.
Marked him. This guy was an absolute idiot.
Even astronauts flying to the moon had a better idea of their route than Christopher Columbus did about his. They knew where they were going, how long it would take, what they'd see along the way, and how they'd get back. Columbus, on the other hand, knew none of that. He just had 3 ships and 90
And
men.
vibes.
No maps, no radio, not even a clue about how long the journey would take.
See, guys, I'm not that bad. I get lost sometimes when we're playing games. That's why 90% of you leave as soon as I boot up something on Steam. But, like, at least I tried. Like,
Yet, he sailed on and eventually reached the area we now call the Bermuda Triangle. And that's when his mystery story began.
he died at, like, 25, by the way. Really? Wait, I'm 29. Am I about to hit my last day soon? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I gotta appreciate every day. Damn.
His ship's log, Columbus describes the sea he sees here, thick with dense seaweed. He also mentions the
I smoke
compass
it.
acting strangely, sudden flashes in the sky, and mysterious lights on the horizon.
Guys, I'm not saying he's lying, but, like, back in the day, you could just straight up lie. Like, I went to this ocean and there was a giant rave in the middle of it, and the dolphins, they were jumping around doing backflips and shit. Like, and there was laser guns, and it was awesome.
All of this terrified the sailors, already exhausted from the voyage. But here's the twist. Columbus's expedition ended safely, not just once, but multiple times. Word of all his strange observations in this region eventually reached Europe, and so people thought, well, that's scary. Why would anyone sail there? But
Yeah.
then treasure was found in the Americas, so
Oh.
fear didn't stop sailors from heading this way.
This is what they heard. What? Oh. What? Nope. I feel so bad for CT. Why do you keep going to the Bermuda Triangle? Why do we? Oh, I get it. I get it.
Now, let's break it down step by step. The most famous Bermuda Triangle tale involves compass problems. Columbus noticed that at one point, his compass needle stopped pointing to the North Star and shifted towards northwest. Interesting, he thought, and just kept sailing. But his superstitious crew freaked out. Columbus decided to explain it, saying maybe there's some other point in the world that the compass is pointing to.
Maybe that guy with the big magnet is standing outside of his house right now. Doofenshmirtz!
The sailors believed him, calmed down, and the journey continued. Basically, Columbus made it up, but he ended up being right. The compass needle doesn't point to the North Pole, not even the North Star as people once thought.
I told you guys! I told you it's north of the McDonald's and nobody wanted to listen. Oh my god.
It actually points to the North Magnetic Pole, which today is roughly here. And it's always on the move. Back in Columbus's time, it was somewhere around Canada. In fact, there are almost no places on Earth where a compass points perfectly north. Everywhere
Really?
has some level of deviation, sometimes a huge one. But modern sailors, pilots,
Are we gonna patch that? Like, do we got scientists on that?
and tourists know how to handle it, making all these mysterious compass problem stories pretty funny. As for that sudden flash in the sky, it was most likely just a meteor. Sailors all over the world had seen them at different times. Now,
Really?
about those mysterious glows, Columbus's crew was desperate to see signs of land.
Okay, I have a question, and don't treat me like I'm dumb even though I am. What's the difference between a meteor and a comet? Like, I know Haley's coming to the heat. Why you always hearing a ho? Ice and rock. Oh, rock and stone?
Maybe a fisherman waving a torch or a signal fire along the coast. They were exhausted and starting to lose hope of ever finding land. So it's easy to see how they might have imagined a light on the horizon or even mistaking a mirage for one. Yet this area kept spooking them, and for good reason. The region Columbus sailed later became known as the Sargasso Sea. It's a massive stretch of the Atlantic, almost the size of the United States.
Wow.
And right in the middle,
I hate looking at maps. They're just like, once I learned that they're all a lie, it gets so confusing to me. Like, is it really that big, or is it bigger than like the map actually looks at, or is it smaller because of like the diffractoring?
lies the Bermuda Triangle. The sea's name comes from the Portuguese word sargasso, meaning seaweed. Strong currents swirl clockwise, trapping tons of seaweed and forming floating islands. Another quirk of the Sargasso Sea is the horse latitudes. These are areas where the
Let's go, Maruzinski!
wind can vanish completely for weeks. A ship drifting here during a lull could get
Okay, look at that though. You know some ghost pirate is on that shit. Actual or a ship.
stuck. It couldn't move and would start getting overgrown with seaweed. Meanwhile, the crew would be roasting under the tropical sun. Eventually,
They don't have sunscreen?
food and water would run out. Thirsty, sunstruck horses couldn't take it. They'd panic and rush into the sea. And that's how the term horse latitudes came about.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. Oh my god. But anytime I see a horse, I just think of DS2 and I get mad.
Along with tales of ghostly horses glimpsed overboard.
No, not the ghost horses, please. Anything but that. No.
Sometimes ships trapped here were found with nothing but skeletons. Their crews never saw the wind return. But more often than not, ships weren't found at all. They were destroyed by the shipworm, or teredo.
The shipworm? Is it related to the Alaskan boar?
This tiny mollusk literally chewed wooden ships into sawdust, sinking them. Though called a worm,
Dude, some animals are just made to be assholes. Like termites, assholes. Shipworm, asshole. Mosquitoes, absolute assholes.
it's really just a mollusk that loves seaweed here. In legends, it became a terrifying monster gnawing ships to pieces. So, trying to count how many ships vanished here over 400 years, from Columbus to the 20th century, is basically impossible. Imagine
I'd
it.
say 10.
No radio, wooden hulls, fully at the mercy of the wind. Any accident and no one would ever know.
So much RNG back in the day. We really got that down. Good job.
And pirates, they were everywhere. We have no idea how many disappearances were actually caused by them. After all, pirates weren't exactly known for filing.
Just seeing Jack Sparrow, I just get reminded of being a kid again. I've got a jar of dirt. I've got a jar of dirt. It's like ancient YouTube shit.
reports. Stories about this mysterious area spread like wildfire. Over time, people started talking about ghost ships found drifting in open water, completely crewless. One of the most famous tales is the Mary Celeste, discovered in 1872.
I like the name Celeste. Like, that's just a beautiful name.
The ship was intact, fully stocked with food and all the crew's belongings, but the crew was nowhere to be found. Newspapers blamed the Bermuda Triangle, but actually, the Mary Celeste was found far from the triangle, in another part of the Atlantic altogether.
They just didn't want to work. He just went home. This ain't worth it, man. Bye.
In short, the triangle had a shady reputation long before modern times. But while ship disappearances in the past are pretty easy to explain, modern ones are a little trickier.
Yeah.
In the 19th century, sails were replaced by steam engines. Wooden hulls were reinforced with metal, and by the early 20th century, radio communication became a thing.
Oh my god. How do you even talk in Morse code? Just because it feel like it would take forever. Like you're like, happy birthday. Like I would be waiting there forever for a happy birthday.
Radio often saved sailors' lives, but not everyone used it. In 1909, Joshua Slocum, the first person to sail solo around the world, disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle.
Also, can somebody translate what I actually said? There's no way. Maybe there's a YouTube comment, Andy, who can translate what I said. Oh, and if you translate what I said, this is for you.
Person to sail solo around the world disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. On November 14th, 1909, Slocum set off on his yacht, the Spray, heading for South America.
Slocum was on the Spray. You can't make this shit up. Ew, nasty!
His route took him right through the triangle, and after that day, he vanished. So how could such an experienced sailor
Well, I guess he come and he don't go.
just disappear? Actually, it's not that surprising. Slocum was 65. A storm could have sunk him, or
Okay, no disrespect, but 65 back in the day, like he had a good run. Like that was good.
a large steamship could have collided with him. Sounds unbelievable, but these things really happened in the 19th and 20th centuries. Large steamships were clumsy. They couldn't turn quickly or slow down fast. Meanwhile, small boats sailed at night with almost no lights, no radar, no
Dex!
GPS. Sailors
Dex versus Tank.
relied entirely on their eyes. That's why the Titanic didn't see the giant iceberg. So
Fire that guy. I'll say it. Fire him.
imagine spotting a tiny yacht like Slocum's. Now, let's return to the Cyclops, which kicked off this story. Size alone doesn't explain its disappearance. It
It's about the motion of the ocean. I've been trying to say this and nobody listens.
was only 100 meters smaller than the Titanic and even had radio. So what happened to it? And to the Proteus and the Nereus? Clearly they sank, but the big question is, how exactly did they go down? First, ships of this class had design flaws. Sailors on the Cyclops
What?
reported weird metallic creaking sounds and even saw the deck bend under small waves.
Oh, hell no, I'm going home. The minute I see one bend, I'm leaving. Yeah, nah.
The beams running along the hull had weakened due to rust. The same problem affected Jason.
Rust?
And the cargo ship Chucky, built like
Okay, if you're building a ship, wouldn't you be counter building against rust like super hard? Like that's like the one thing that's your job. What do you mean it got rust?
to rust. The same problem affected Jason. And the cargo ship Chucky, built like Cyclops, literally split in
Ship Chucky. Sorry.
half despite calm seas. The second reason? Manganese ore cargo. It was denser than the coal the Cyclops was designed to carry. That means a ton of ore takes up less space than a ton of coal. This left extra room
Wait.
of ore takes up less
A ton
space
of
than a ton
ore
of coal.
and a ton of coal. Which one wastes ore?
This left extra room on the ship, meaning that the ore was able to shift from side to side. On top of that, the Cyclops could carry a maximum of 8,000 tons, but on its final voyage, it was loaded with a whopping 11,000 tons.
Whoa! Fire that guy! Put him butt booty naked in the middle of the deck! That's way too much!
To make things worse, one of the engines broke down along the way.
Oh,
Still, the
great!
crew pressed on. The ore was critical for the war effort.
What's up with you and stripping people naked? I don't know. Today I've stripped like 10 grown men. I don't know why I keep talking about that.
Along the way. Still, the crew pressed on. The ore was critical for the war effort. And finally, there was a nasty storm in the area.
What else would they do? Press on. Okay, crew, let's die. Me playing Among Us.
At the time. Most likely, the storm caused the ore to suddenly shift to one side. The ship tilted, water rushed in, and it either capsized or split in half and sank.
Great.
It happened so fast that the crew didn't even have time to send an SOS. The Proteus and the Nereus were also carrying manganese ore and ran into the same problems as the Cyclops.
You know what they should have done? They should have loaded it up with copper so that guy would have came and stole it and then he would have sold it for less. What was the name of that guy again? Nani? What was his name? I forgot. I already forgot. Oh, Nasir. Yes.
The only ship in this series that didn't sink on its own was the Jupiter. And that's only because it had
because it wasn't built more stupider.
been converted into the first US aircraft carrier and later sunk by the Japanese during World War II.
Oh.
Okay, what about the Rubicon, where only a dog was found on board?
Yeah!
All we know about this
JoJo's ass plotline, by the way. Why is there a dog on board?
case is from the New York Times. The headline read, "Drifting ship has only one dog on board." Sounds mysterious until you read the article. It turns out the ship didn't have lifeboats. Its mooring line had snapped, and the last log entry was made while the Rubicon was docked in Havana, Cuba. The journalists tried to make sense of it. When the ship was in Havana, a powerful hurricane struck. The crew had to abandon Rubicon and reach shore on lifeboats. Everything happened so quickly that they even forgot the dog on board.
What? How could you forget the dog, man? I'm glad the dog lived. That's crazy. How do you forget the dog?
Then the hurricane grew so intense that the mooring lines couldn't hold and it snapped, and the Rubicon was carried out to open sea. But no official investigation was done at the time since everyone was focused on World War II. Reporters tried to track down Rubicon's crew, but they came up empty-handed. Maybe the sailors just didn't want to talk.
Okay, swordfish scare me. Like, they're terrifying. They straight up got rivers of blood on their nose.
Even a theory that the ship was carrying contraband, and the crew might have vanished on purpose.
Oh, I see. Oh, that dog was having a great time.
After the war, when the communists took power in Cuba, any investigation became nearly impossible. And so, the story remained a forgotten mystery until Bermuda Triangle fans brought it back into discussion.
That makes me laugh. Bermuda Triangle is my Oshi.
Now, on to the most famous case. What about Flight 19? How did 5 planes vanish without a trace? And then a 6th plane
Did they plane
disappeared in exactly the same way. Since then, the Flight 19 story has become wrapped in chilling details. Supposedly, in their final moments, the pilots said something like, "We're entering white water, don't come after us. They look like they're from space."
He is not lying. Hello. Would you like to come up into my UFO?
I shouldn't have spent $4 on voice mod.
But official reports and radio transcripts tell a different story. The only pilot with real experience in these flights was the group commander, Lieutenant Taylor.
I love Commander. I used to play every Friday.
The rest were trainees, and the weather wasn't on their side that day. Strong winds and heavy rain. Lieutenant Taylor's compass was malfunctioning, and because he was the commander, everyone followed his orders. Soon enough, the planes got lost and Taylor reported their position to the base. The trainees repeatedly
Where are you? I don't know.
suggested turning west towards Florida. The base told Taylor the same thing, but he kept to his plan. Then, he sent the last message. "All aircraft stay close. If we don't see land soon, we'll have to make an emergency landing in the water."
But if they land in the water, then they get to use the fun slide. Whee!
"When anyone drops below 10 gallons, we all descend together, okay?"
My gallons.
As you can see, there's no mention of any white water or aliens. Right after the planes vanished, an official investigation began. The crash was blamed on Lieutenant Taylor, who was reportedly in a mentally unstable state. He got confused about his position and made several geographic mistakes.
He's on
The cadets
Tylenol.
trusted him and followed his lead until the very end. They flew over the ocean until their fuel ran out, and then they ended up in the water. Later, Lieutenant Taylor's mother managed to clear her son of any blame. So in the final report, the crash is officially listed as unknown.
I'm sorry. Guys, we just gotta start blaming everything else.
As for the disappearance of the rescue plane,
We don't
this one is
know.
actually easier to explain. Just 20 minutes after it took off, the merchant ship Gaines Mill reported over the radio an explosion in the sky with an oil slick on the water. The ship
Bring BP out. Tell him to get the Dawn dish soap and get to work.
also sent the coordinates, which matched perfectly where the rescue plane should have been at that moment. This tragedy happened because of the quirks of the Mariner planes. They
They have quirks? Like what? My quirk is I always get lost.
Trapped gasoline fumes in the cabin so any spark could set them off. Pilots even called the mariners flying gas tanks, and smoking was strictly forbidden, understandably so.
I hope so.
Honestly, between 1942 and 1945, Fort Lauderdale lost 95 people on training flights, so
Damn.
another disappearance wasn't all that surprising. And Flight 19 wasn't the only group flying over the Bermuda Triangle that day. Other pilots returned safely.
Where does everything go?
The
I don't know. Me when I eat a cupcake. I don't know. That was such a stupid joke. I couldn't even finish it.
ocean. It's a pretty scary place. And honestly, we have no idea.
I was supposed to go to my thighs, and it just didn't make any sense, and then it was just stupid.
It's a pretty scary place. And honestly, we have no idea just how scary. Especially
I'll let you know right now, as an ocean-dwelling creature, it's pretty bad out here. You gotta have a Glock, and you gotta make sure that you're always checking your back. WRP?
if you go all the way down to the very bottom. To give you some perspective, humans have launched more successful missions into space than we've managed on the ocean floor.
Facebook be like, nah, Photoshop.
Even if you were lucky enough to get here safely in a deep sea submersible, you still wouldn't see much. Maybe 10 meters ahead, maybe 20. That's it. This is why hunting for shipwrecks on the ocean floor is so expensive and tricky.
Why has everything got to cost money? If it's for the greater good of humanity, it should be free. Just everybody pitching in, maybe getting like a free Whopper.
Take the Titanic, for example. It was only found 73 years after it sank. Why the long wait? Simply put, the technology just wasn't ready yet.
That is not supposed to be as political as you guys took it.
It sank. Why the long wait? Simply put, the technology just wasn't ready yet, even though people had a pretty good idea where it was all along. The Titanic rests at 3,800 meters down. Meanwhile, the average depth of the Bermuda Triangle is 5,000 meters. And if that's not deep enough for you, there's the Puerto.
Then go and check on your mama, because we got pretty deep last night. Emotionally. We had a couple glasses of wine, and she really listened to my problems.
Rico Trench, the deepest point in the Atlantic, it plunges down to 8,742 meters, almost the height of Mount Everest. There are no exact boundaries for the Bermuda Triangle. Every author draws it differently, so its size ranges from 1 to almost 4 million square kilometers.
Guys, come on. Can we have an emergency meeting to figure out how big this damn triangle is? Like, is this too much of an obtuse question?
For comparison, the US covers about 9.8 million square kilometers. So if 10, 100, or even 1,000 ships vanish in this area, finding them is almost impossible. And to make things trickier, the Gulf Stream flows right through here, a strong current up to 90 kilometers wide.
Guess you could say this is current events.
It runs right under the areas where ships and planes often disappear. The Gulf Stream can just...
Guys, stop minus twoing me! Do you not understand my life is like Family Guy? Like, it's just bit after bit after bit and it doesn't end? Like, you should be impressed!
scoop up a wreck and carry it far, far away. Luckily, in the shallower parts of the Bermuda Triangle, things are a bit better. Over the past 40 years, some lost ships and a few Avenger-class planes...
Well, we ain't.
are a bit better, far away. Luckily, in the shallower parts of the Bermuda Triangle, things are a bit better. Over the past 40 years, some lost ships and a few Avenger-class planes have been found, but their serial numbers didn't match Flight 19. And yes, that was a bit of a disappointment to the hardcore fans.
Ah, we found the plane! Ah, those people died, but they weren't the cool people who died! Ah! My phone fell.
Of course, not everyone believed in the Bermuda Triangle or trusted Berlitz's book. Then, in 1975, a man appeared who actually did real research on the topic.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Somebody hit the books, nerd.
Lawrence Couchet, a librarian at Arizona State University and an amateur pilot. He got interested when he noticed how many students kept coming to the library to read about the Bermuda Triangle.
It's just interesting. Anything that has a little bit of mystery is pretty cool, even like closed cases.
Couchet spent 2 years digging through materials and studying the subject. Then he published a book, The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved.
Whoa, that's a pretty big title there.
In it, he explains the gaps between Berlitz's wild claims and the real facts. He proved that many of the cases Berlitz cited either never happened or happened far away from the triangle. Couchet wrote, "Trust in Berlitz is so low, it's basically non-existent.
Oh,
If Berlitz
burn!
said a ship was red, the chances are almost 100% it was actually a different color."
Is this a book or a diss track? Damn!
In his work, Lawrence Couchet went really deep.
Book fight! Yeah, bro had contempt!
Diving into original US Navy reports, personally interviewing military personnel stationed in Fort Lauderdale, and even flying the same routes taken by the missing planes. And in the end, he confirmed that the commander of Flight 19, Lieutenant Taylor, truly got lost.
Bro had no idea where he was going. I'm gonna be honest, if I didn't know where I was going, I hope they would say it's the Bermuda Triangle. Like, it was just a mysterious entity. You don't understand, it was an AoE of confusion and despair.
The Avenger-class planes were heavy and sank quickly. Plus, the base didn't even have the coordinates to search for them.
Not even based.
So the planes were basically doomed. So what else catches your eye here?
Cyclops?
The disappearance statistics. Turns out they're a bit exaggerated, often by accident. Sometimes ships were reported missing and then, bam, they'd return to port. But nobody bothered to remove them from the missing stats. By the way, Couchet got curious. How many ships and planes disappear outside the Bermuda Triangle?
A lot.
Checked, and it was about the same. Sometimes Berlitz would claim a ship vanished on a clear day, but later...
Can your ship go... Bam? When the waves are that high, you just go... Bam? Yeah? Then what do? Is there like a, counterplay? What's the counterplay to big wave? You die. That's not counterplay. That's not even close to counterplay. Are you guys on my League of Legends team? How'd you give up so fast?
It turns out there had been a storm that day. And generally, the Bermuda Triangle sits along Hurricane Alley, a zone in the Atlantic where most storms are born. So there's really nothing mystical going on here. Couchet verified a lot of this, but scientists weren't fully satisfied and kept hunting for other explanations, like magnetic anomalies or methane bubbles rising from the ocean floor, which could sink.
Wait, what? Methane bubbles from the ocean floor? That happens? Holy bad RNG, this stage sucks!
Ships. For a long time, the latter was considered almost the main theory. How would this theory explain disappearances? Through underwater landslides, huge volumes of methane suddenly erupt from the ocean floor.
Wait, it is just farting. Okay, it's me, the ocean. Oh shit! Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. Go to your cabins.
Sending millions of bubbles to the surface. The water's density would drop and it could no longer support a ship, so it sank.
Oh no, it wasn't a floater.
This theory also explained planes. If an aircraft flew through a massive methane cloud, its instruments could give false readings. The pilot might think they were gaining altitude, but in reality they were dropping, eventually crashing into the water. The problem? This idea had some weak points.
Yeah.
Methane deposits aren't just in the Bermuda Triangle.
Also in your booty hole.
They exist worldwide. Also, the
Oh no! I tried to tell you!
US Geological Survey checked it and found that the last major methane release in this region
was right now. Oh. I can't no more fart jokes, I'm sorry.
happened 15,000 years ago. So
Oh no, he called me old! No, no!
This version was discarded. Today, scientists are looking at a newer theory, killer waves, or rogue waves. Massive, isolated waves over 30 meters high. Back in 1861, on Eagle Island, a 26-meter lighthouse collapsed for unknown reasons.
I spent my whole life building this lighthouse. Would you like to go to the top with me, Martha? Oh!
Scientists guessed a giant wave might have caused it. But to topple a lighthouse, the wave would have had to clear a 40-meter cliff. People thought that wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Yet in 1900, near another lighthouse on the Flannan Islands, 3 keepers disappeared after a storm. Rescuers found wave-damaged crates sitting 33 meters above sea level.
Damn!
Sailors returning from voyages also reported massive waves, but nobody believed them. How do you measure a wave with your eyes? Maybe they just imagined it. Plus, rogue waves didn't fit any mathematical models. Oceanographers thought the maximum wave height was 20 meters. Everything changed on January 1st, 1995, when a 26-meter wave was recorded near the Dropner oil platforms off Norway. Rogue waves are different from tsunamis caused by underwater earthquakes. See,
Okay.
tsunamis can be predicted, gain height near the shore, and rarely threaten sailors out in the open ocean.
They scare
Rogue
me.
waves, however, appear out of nowhere, often even in calm, sunny weather. And most importantly, we still don't fully understand why.
Has anybody ever tried to redesign the boat? Like, I don't do it. The last time I made a boat was a cardboard boat, and I had to go across the pool at my school. But like, we could maybe make this a little better.
In 2000, the European Space Agency launched the Max Wave Project to study them. Satellites monitored the ocean and spotted 10 waves taller than 25 meters over just 3 weeks. So it's very likely that some of the ships that vanished in the Bermuda Triangle were victims to these killer waves.
We believe because we want to. Okay, wait. That kind of sounds like I don't know, a song. We believe because we want to. We walk because we need to. We drive the car because we have to. USA.
Killer waves, sure, they're scary, but they're rare. They definitely don't explain all the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle. And honestly, do we really need a single cause that explains everything?
No.
Isn't that a bit odd? This
Yep.
region is very busy. It's been bustling since the day it was discovered. Saying that a lot of ships and planes sank here is like saying there are a lot of car accidents in the New Jersey Turnpike.
How come nobody can just say something without dissing somebody else? Something about the Bermuda Triangle makes people very aggressive.
You know, when I was a kid and I first heard about the Bermuda Triangle, I thought, wow, everyone must avoid it at all costs, along
Yeah.
with things like quicksand and falling anvils.
I thought quicksand was real. Like, a really big problem. I've always been very scared of quicksand. And then what happened was I told you guys that I remember the scene in Tarzan where Jane gets stuck in the quicksand and then she gets picked up and like she's out of it. And it was really scary to me. And then you guys told me that actually never happened and I made that up. And then I looked up Jane in quicksand and it was a bunch of art. Let's say it lightly. It was a bunch of art.
That's terrifying. But if you actually look at the statistics, it turns out that's simply not true. Today, the Bermuda Triangle isn't some far-off forbidden place. It's home to popular resorts in Florida, Bermuda, and the Bahamas. The US military patrols the area regularly, and over
Are they looking for me?
200 cruise ships pass through it safely every single year. All in all, over the last 100 years, around 10 million vessels and aircrafts have passed through this.
I want to take a cruise. I've never been on a cruise. The only thing that freaks me out about a cruise is, one, we watch a lot of videos like the poop cruise where people start like pooping everywhere. We also, the problem for me is that I feel like I get bored. Like, I would like to drink and gamba, but then I'd go to the hot tub and there's 900 people in there, and then I just feel like it's just a mud tub. It's stinky. Everybody be poo-poo caca in there.
Region. And if only 100 ships and 50 planes went missing, that's just 0.001% of the total. The well-known insurance company, Lloyd's of London, has confirmed multiple times losses in the Bermuda Triangle are comparable to those in other parts of the ocean. Ships don't pay extra just to pass through. In 2013, the World Wildlife Fund even conducted a
Wait, thought... Wait, no, this has to do with the WWE. That's the panda, not the wrestlers. WWE banded together to stop anybody from entering the Bermuda Triangle. Pop, pop.
Study to identify the most dangerous zones at sea. And guess what? They list Southeast Asia, the Mediterranean, and the North Sea, but not the Bermuda Triangle.
Wow.
The WWF report
Really fell off.
explains that nearly 50% of maritime accidents happen due to bad weather, poor safety practices,
And idiots.
aging ships, or crew errors caused by fatigue. So it might seem like the case is closed. What else is there to discuss? But nope. Lawrence Couché's book, which carefully dismantles the Bermuda Triangle myths, never really caught on. Unlike Berlitz's
Boo.
book, people continued believing the nonsense and brushed off scientific evidence as fake. Fake by whom? The US government? Reptilians? Nobody ever really clarified.
It's more funny to think the aliens in the sky with their giant ray guns and what is the thing from Call of Duty where it goes...
Meanwhile, Bermuda Triangle fans would travel to the area themselves only to be disappointed when nothing mysterious happened at all. Apparently, the mystery was never there to begin with. Today in the internet age, information is open and easy to verify. There to begin with. Today in the internet age, information is open and easy to verify.
Don't go on Twitter.
Even ChatGPT knows the Bermuda Triangle is a myth, and yet the legend just keeps growing. Fake news, thousands of forums, endless paranormal websites, new theories appear non-stop. Portals to parallel universes, hidden
Those are real? Oh my god! They're real!
beneath the triangle, or secret US underwater bases.
That's real too?
Old, long-forgotten stories resurfaced too. In 2012, rumors started spreading that a massive glass pyramid, said to be about 150 to 200 meters tall,
They had to be on creative to build that.
supposedly was discovered at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle.
What?
If this is true, it would be even bigger than the Great Pyramid of Cheops
Sorry, I had to scratch.
Bermuda Triangle. If this is true, it would be even bigger than the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt, which is pretty wild. The story went viral almost instantly, so viral that different versions of it are still circulating today. In 2021,
Airborne.
the Georgian publication Intermedia.ge, now defunct, published an article titled "Scientists Couldn't Explain the Pyramids Discovered in the Bermuda Triangle."
Okay.
The article referred to a supposed 1970s scientific expedition led by Charles Berlitz himself. According to the story, he discovered the glass pyramid on the ocean floor, and that supposedly is where all the Bermuda Triangle's mystique comes from. But the glass
Ah,
pyramid
the
story
aura.
actually
No buts about it. What? Why guys hate shopping? Do you guys hate shopping? What's wrong with shopping? It's kind of fun. What if you had to go shopping with somebody, like there was a room for men and there was like a PlayStation and you could like intermingle with the other men that were at the store and just play bouquet?
first appeared back in 1990 in the American tabloid The Weekly World News, and everything in that paper is entirely fictional. Still, someone read the story, and it took on a life of its own. Journalists in different countries cited it as a source, added their own twists, and then republished it. That's how
the old yoink and twist. I meant for sources, not for what you're thinking.
different versions emerged, claiming the pyramid was discovered by oceanographer Verlag Mayer, or a Franco-American scientific expedition, or naturopath Ray Brown. Never mind that Verlag Mayer was completely made up. He never
Red
existed.
Arrow.
And there were no expeditions to the ocean floor led by Charles Berlitz.
They lied. He lied. She believed.
As for Ray Brown, he does seem to be real, but that's a whole different story. Journalists wrote that Ray claimed to see bronze hands at the bottom holding a crystal.
Okay. Why do you guys teach me stupid memes? How did you all say Sabib?
Journalists wrote that Ray claimed to see bronze hands at the bottom holding a crystal ball just like that.
The
He grabbed
Kingslayer.
the ball, but never showed it to anyone. And here's the kicker. He didn't have time to explore the pyramid itself because his air was running low and he had to surface quickly. Of course, we don't have any evidence beyond Ray's own words. And info about his scientific work, you'll only find it on pretty unreliable articles on even sketchier
Tumblr.
websites. So check your malware if you're going on there. By
Malware
the way,
bites.
naturopathy, which Ray
What are we doing? Oh my god! They put a fork in his wee hole!
Brown practiced is a type of alternative medicine that's not scientifically supported and can sometimes do more harm than good.
Yeah.
And the dates for when he supposedly found the pyramid, they're all over the place. 68, 70.
You did that on purpose. He skipped 67.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ray Brown, the naturopath, was more legend than real person. This whole story is a perfect example of how modern myths.
Whenever I was playing Halo with my dad on stream, I think that was the perfect explanation when I asked him, what's the difference between like younger humor and adult humor? And he said 67 is younger humor and 69 is adult humor.
Get started. It usually begins small, a joking article in a tabloid, then a few dozen reprints on blogs and websites, each author adding their own twist. Next come hundreds of social media posts, thousands of shares and comments. People don't check the facts. And before you know it, fiction becomes fact. As the saying goes, if you call a person a pig long enough, eventually they'll start to oink.
That's not nice.
So why in today's world do so many people still believe in conspiracy theories? Believe it or not, this is actually more of a philosophical question.
Because it's funny. I don't know if there's any conspiracy theory I actually believe in. I'm trying to think. No.
A 2017 study published in Motivation and Emotion called We Are Not Alone found that belief in UFOs and the paranormal is linked to a person's need for
Women bad drivers, that's a conspiracy theory. Just go watch an OTK stream.
meaning in life. In other words, people who feel a lack of purpose are more likely to believe in supernatural explanations. Today, with science on the rise, religious explanations for natural events have taken a back seat. We can believe in God, but we no longer think a storm is God's punishment or that a meteor is an angel falling from heaven.
People used to live such whimsical lives. Like now I just go, oh, that's a giant rock. Cool.
Still, religious thinking doesn't just vanish. People want to believe in miracles because, surprisingly, miracles give us comfort. Psychologists call this the illusion of control. It's easier to believe ships and planes vanish due to supernatural force because without it, life feels a lot scarier.
Yeah.
Picture this. You're living your life and suddenly something goes wrong because of human error.
No, not me. No, I never make mistakes. No, not me though. Move on.
Random coincidence or a giant wave. Science removes these comforting illusions that make us think the world revolves around us. This illusion has been with humans for thousands.
That's why I think I'm bad to talk to sometimes, and why I have no friends is because people will come to me with their problems and then I try to solve them, but sometimes people just want to talk about their problems and not have them fixed because it feels better to talk about it. But then when you try to fix their problems, then they get upset because they don't actually want their problems fixed. They just want to talk about it.
Thousands of years, so it's not easy to let go. Now, some of you might be asking, why did I make a video about the Bermuda Triangle on a history?
Dumbass Barry. I know. I'm working on it. Or if somebody has a problem, I try to relate, but then it comes off that I'm being like about myself, but I'm just trying to be like, if someone's like, oh, I got my chocolate chip cookie got stolen and eaten, I'd be like, oh my God, my chocolate chip cookie got stolen and eaten too when I was younger, and I know how that feels, and I'm sorry that happened. But then it comes off as rude.
Now, some of you might be asking, why did I make a video about the Bermuda Triangle on a history channel? Some people will say it's clickbait, that I just want views, and
He's shadowboxing.
maybe there's some truth in that. But here's the point. Historical myths are different from conspiracy myths. The history of the Bermuda Triangle can actually teach us something about the world. A fake story? That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Aryan race, Russian world,
What?
American acceptance.
Wait,
nationalism, the eternal Japanese Empire, Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward, and Stalin's enemy of the people. These are just some of the most infamous manipulations of history, and millions of people suffered or died because of it. So always think, doubt, ask questions, and double-check information. Check my work too. We're all human. We make mistakes, and I rely on you guys to point them.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at like atrocities. I'm laughing because it feels like when somebody is like, when you're in class and you have to read a book and then you're like reading the book and you're like, wait, what the hell just happened? And you gotta go all the way back out to the top of the page. I'm like, wait, what?
Them out in the comments. I'm sure I've made a couple along the way, and that's how we grow and keep accountable. So I appreciate all you guys chiming in and helping out.
This is a good video.
Thanks to everyone who supports us financially, subscribing to our Patreon, subscribing to this channel, liking, commenting. Really helps grow the channel. So thank you guys for sticking through to the end of the video.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thanks for leaving a comment about how I am the sexiest VTuber of all time. I see him. I appreciate it. I know. Anyways, if you're new here, make sure to come by this stream to study versus BerryCrepe, or use code Berry for 10% off your gamer subs order. It super helps me out, and I would super appreciate it. I hope you have a great evening. Goodbye, YouTube. Goodbye. Berry out.